Doctor Who Love and Monsters, the 10th episode of Series 2, is written by Russell T Davies and starring David Tennant and Billie Piper. So while David Tennant and Billie Piper can film other episodes, they decide to film this episode where the Doctor and Rose are barely in it, which I think it's a nice break and a nice holiday. We can like the Doctor as a character, but we can like others too. The Doctor Light and sometimes Companion Light structure has continued as a tradition, producing episodes. So the opening of the episode plays Elton running and finds the TARDIS. But then he went down to the warehouse. It was really intense when Elton was about to open the door. And there is a green monster called the Hoiks. They live to eat, as they like to eat everything. Plus that design reminds me of Green Goblin from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. We later see the Hoiks in Torchwood Exit Wounds, and it had the cameo at the end of The Pandorica Opens in Doctor Who. It's definitely a scary and dangerous creature, definitely don't want to meet them in real life. And because the Doctor is aware what the Hoiks are, the Doctor gets Rose to pour a bucket of hot chemicals at it, but it was the wrong one. When Rose thought he said blue and the Doctor was like, "I said not blue." I love that Scooby-Doo style, the way the Doctor and Rose were running from the Hoiks through the doors, it was really funny. The moments when the Doctor asks Elton does he know him, but he made a run for it. I think Mark Warren as Elton Pope is really good. They should bring him back as I think he's an interesting character, and believe it or not, he's got great stories. First he meets the Doctor as a kid, which we come to that at the end, and he sees aliens and monsters invading. First he was there when the Autons attack in the shop. He witnessed the Slitheen spaceship crashes into Big Ben, and on Christmas Day his window's smashed, and he looks out the window and he sees Sigarax's spaceship. I just think it's nice to get to know that character's life, even when he mentions that he likes drink and Spain, don't we all? I loved when they played Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra. It's a great song, the one they played when Groot was dancing in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And it's another iconic thing for me. This episode seems to be loving ELO, because they played Mr. Blue Sky throughout this episode. There was a scene where Elton and his mates were singing Don't Bring Me Down, and Turn to Stone in the scene where Elton was fixing Jackie Tyler's household. Elton has love interest called Ursula, played by Shirley Henderson. She's a great actress, especially as Moaning Martel in the Harry Potter franchise. During the Sigarax event on Christmas, Ursula takes pictures, including the Doctor. She thought he was just a random guy, until Mr. Skinner told her. And no, I don't mean that, Mr. Skinner. I'm talking about the leader of the group, which they're known to study the Doctor, and I think it's an interesting stuff. They could do with a spin-off series or something. Elton named the group Linda, that stands for London Investigation and Detective Agency. When Mr. Skinner was wondering why the Elton explains the other famous names with the like fish and chips and rock and roll, which is pretty neat as "and" is the most common definition for So we have Peter Kay, who plays Mr. Kennedy, who takes over Linda Group, and he gets them to study more about the Doctor, and every time he asks the member a word privately, they turn out to be missing. After that, and when Elton visits to Jackie to mend her household, as they met at the laundry, she decides to give a glass of wine to Elton and played Il Divo's Regressa a Me song, and I can't believe Jackie spilled wine on Elton's shirt. First time an accident with a tiny drop, and then drench it deliberately. So he has to take it off so she can put it in the wash and see Elton shirtless. But when he puts it back on, he buys pizzas. Meanwhile, she finds a photo of Rose in his coat pocket, and she finds out Elton was trying to get to the Doctor and Rose, and that didn't end well. When Elton and Ursula were heading out to have Chinese food, Ursula left her phone, so when they go back inside after Mr. Skinner is missing, it reveals that Mr. Kennedy is an alien, and he's called Absorbaloff, a disgustingly powerful villain who absorbed all the members of Linda. What bothers me is that people were so harsh on the design. They seem to forget it was designed by a 9-year-old kid who won on Blue Peter competition, and he's a cool piece of design villain. The green suit looks fleshy and he looks so alien in that defense. So after when the Absorbaloff has absorbed Ursula, Elton tries to make a run for it, but he gave up. And yeah, when the TARDIS materialised and the Doctor and Rose came out, she wasn't happy when Elton upset Jackie when she's like, "You upset my mum!" After when the Doctor was like, "Someone wants a word with you." Absorbeloff's plan was to absorb the Doctor to get his knowledge to use his TARDIS to get back to his home planet, Clom. And yeah, that's the twin planet of Raxacoricophalopatorius, the home planet of the Sleuthine and the other Raxacoricophalopatorians. Because Elton broke the cane and the Absorbeloff has melted into the ground, Elton has lost his love interest, Ursula, and he couldn't live without her, which is why the Doctor sonicked a pavement out, and there's Ursula's face attached to it. And oh my god, when he mentions the love life, and Ursula was like, "Let's not go into that." Just before when Elton zooms in the camera into his face, that is so dirty. I hope no child had any idea what that was going on. Well, when I watched it as a child, I had no idea what was going on, so there's that. This scene would have been even worse if Captain Jack was there. Oh man. So anyway, it ends with Elton tells us the good and the bad about life. It reveals why the Doctor went to see Elton as a kid, because there was a shadow escaped from the howling, and the Doctor stopped it, but he wasn't in time to save Elton's mother, because that was the day when Elton's mother died, which is a sad scene. So yeah, that's Love and Monsters, and I kind of realised a lot of people dislike this episode, sadly. I liked that episode. It's got interesting stories. I like Elton and the Linda team with the idea of studying the Doctor. Plus it's another episode I grew up with, so yeah. So what's your positive thoughts of this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.